Jenna Ellis joins us from the Trump campaign, senior advisor, attorney, and she was a member of Rudy Giuliani's roadshow. You did a great job. Jenna, welcome back. How are you?
Thanks so much, Greg. Good to join you.
All right, Jenna. You tell me, where are we tonight? I don't know if you heard my preamble. I do see a way forward, but you're close to the president. You're close to Rudy. What are you guys going to do next?
Yeah, well, of course, we're not giving up the fight for election integrity. And it's really shameful, frankly, that Democrats are being so incredibly partisan that they're not willing to acknowledge that election integrity always matters. And when you have all of these concerns that have gone on, not just with irregularities, but with the Dominion machines, the questions surrounding that, the audit results that came out yesterday, when you have all of the laws that were completely disregarded in these 6 states, that somehow doesn't matter just because they like the supposed and current outcome and result of this election. It's frankly a dereliction of duty. And so what the mayor and I are currently focused on is still continuing to make sure that the state legislatures understand their constitutional obligation and their authority under Article 2, that they can take back their delegates, they can decertify these false results, and that they can actually make sure that none of their constituencies are disenfranchised, and they can make sure that the electoral college process is not corrupted. We still have plenty of time before January 6th.
So you've been talking to those lawmakers for a couple of weeks. I've seen you from city to city to city. Did they give you an indication that, listen, we got to certify it on the 14th. We're going to go along with it, but we'll keep an open mind between the 14th and the 6th. Let's stay in touch. We're still thinking about it. Did you hear anything like that? Tell us more about what they're telling you.
Yeah, of course. And I think that especially the Republicans are very concerned in these states. And we've seen that coming out of Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and in Arizona. I mean, these are lawmakers that are very concerned. It's really, unfortunately, a problem with the leadership. But one thing that I would highlight, Greg, is that even though the Texas case was remarkably and shockingly dismissed from the Supreme Court last week, which in my view was a complete just ignoring the Constitution and original jurisdiction, and a multitude of problems there. But the one thing that I would highlight that came out in that case was the amicus that was filed from the Pennsylvania House and Senate leadership. In that brief, they actually admitted to the Supreme Court in the record that the state laws were not followed in the administration of the 2020 election. That's more than sufficient rational and legal basis for Pennsylvania to call an electoral session and to say we need to make sure that our electoral votes are not cast falsely and that our constituents aren't disenfranchised. So we're still going to continue with that message. And what I brought to the Colorado State Legislature today, which is, by the way, my home state, I've testified in front of their legislature many, many times, was very happy to see some of my good friends in the legislature be willing to look at these election integrity issues, is that Colorado has had Dominion voting systems since 2018. We've had mail-in voting since about 2012. And we also have really bad, frankly, ballot harvesting laws. And so even though Colorado isn't one of the 6 states that the campaign has focused on in terms of electoral college, I think what 2020 has taught us is that election integrity matters, and it's incumbent upon all 50 states to go back and review their election laws and to make sure to put in safeguards that will stop illegal votes from being counted and will stop the cheating and corruption.
Okay, I want that to happen, but that sounds like a long-term project. I am most concerned about who's going to be inaugurated on January 20th. I don't know if you saw in the early portion of the show, but I showed some clips from 2000 members of Congress who were resisting the election that put George W. Bush in the White House. It was there on January 6th or whenever it was when the president of the Senate was counting the votes. And each one needed a senator. They needed a senator to join with a member of the House to actually consider officially withdrawing the electoral votes. Are you talking to the right people? You got House members, and more importantly, or just as importantly, you got senators who are thinking about that, who are going to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, of course, it's incumbent upon the legislatures. And that's where our founding fathers saw fit that the legislature is the closest to the people. And so it's incumbent upon the state legislatures and also Congress to make sure that they don't certify a false result. So we can still continue to advocate. And of course, we're going to. And we have plenty of time before January 6th. I think that the American people are really getting a civics lesson that they haven't had for the past 20 years. But they're so quick to forget our history, to forget our founding, and to forget that this isn't some kind of constitutional crisis in the sense that we've never had election controversies that have lasted up until January 6th or that have had to go to the U.S. House of Representatives in order to select the presidential victor. I mean, that happened in 1806 when we had a tie in the Electoral College. So these are things that are, of course, very important. And I agree with you, Greg. While we're going to move forward and we're going to look at the election integrity efforts across the nation over the next 2 years, we absolutely have to take care of election integrity for this election and make sure that the proper and true victor, which is President Trump, ultimately does get another 4 years.
We've heard a lot about Dominion voting systems. The CEO of Dominion was at a hearing in Michigan today. We have a little bit of sound. Let's go ahead and run it and see what he had to say.
Voting systems are, by design, meant to be used as closed systems that are not networked, meaning they are not connected to the internet. It is technologically impossible to see votes being counted in real time or to flip them.
I'm no technologist, but I've seen enough evidence and I've heard enough testimony from people, including Colonel Waldron, who said that the Dominion systems were actually plugged in to the internet. These are very complex systems. And I believe a bill for modem services was issued to a entity. Yeah, we have it right here, modem services. Dominion was charging thousands of dollars for modem services, would indicate some sort of internet connectivity, potentially, Jenna.
Yeah, well, it was very interesting to me to hear the sleight of hand in his testimony in the clip that you played where he said that these voting machines are meant to be closed systems. He didn't say that they are. And I think that was a really critical portion of his testimony where he said they're meant to be. And so when you have someone who's under oath, which, by the way, interesting that Dominion wouldn't step forward and testify in front of the Michigan legislature until after the Electoral College met. But I think that his testimony really didn't advance any of the facts there. He was just talking about theoreticals, where Colonel Waldron and the evidence that we actually have out of the Antrim County report show the facts in this case. And these are sincere questions that the American people, and especially in Michigan, deserve answers to.
Jenna, I didn't catch that. You're right. What an attorney. Meant to be. You're right. That gave him a way out. And by the way, testifying from your office or from your home, that's not like, being front and center in front of the committee. That's a totally different vibe. And I think a bit of a way out for him. Jenna Ellis, hang in there. Tough fight, but I think we can do this. Many thanks.
Ready for it. Americans will have courage, Greg. We're up to the challenge.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.